I agree that corruption is the number one problem in Africa and it has not changed. Africa is the richest continent on our planet and Africans should stay united and not let the corruptors in. Unfortunately, the leaders in Africa are more concerned about how much money will get into their own personal pockets than the well-being of their country and their people. I agree with an OPEC-like cartel that would protect the African minerals and all the other underground natural resources. The Chinese are not saints, but Africans decided to work with them instead of the old thieves and colonial powers. Unfortunately, the people in Africa are still very poor and they are not receiving a return from any of the deals passed with foreign investors. One area that nobody is talking about is the capability of the African cultivable soil that could feed the entire planet. Mining is a dirty business that is very destructive to the soil and environment. Africans should invest in agriculture. Food will become more valuable than gold very soon on our planet. Corruption is a pervasive problem in many African countries that undermines economic development and denies citizens access to basic services and resources. The prevalence of corruption in Africa has been linked to a lack of transparency and accountability in government, a weak rule of law, and a lack of public sector capacity, as well as a culture of patronage and nepotism. The impact of corruption on the African continent is immense. It has a direct effect on economic growth and poverty reduction, as well as government accountability and the rule of law. It also undermines the quality of public services and infrastructure and reduces the ability of governments to attract foreign investment. Furthermore, corruption increases costs for businesses and discourages economic activity, resulting in lower economic growth and increased unemployment. In addition, corruption reduces the effectiveness of development aid and public resources, leading to reduced investment in public health and education, and widening gaps between rich and poor. It also has an effect on democratic processes, as corrupt politicians can manipulate the political system in order to maintain their power. The fight against corruption is a complex challenge, requiring the involvement of all stakeholders, including governments, civil society, and the private sector. Governments must create a legal and regulatory framework that promotes transparency and accountability, and strengthens the rule of law. Civil society and the private sector can play an important role in monitoring and reporting corruption, as well as advocating for transparency and accountability. In conclusion, corruption is a major obstacle to African countries achieving their development goals. It is essential that governments, civil society, and the private sector work together to tackle corruption and promote transparency and accountability. By doing so, African countries can create an environment where citizens can access basic services and resources, and where economic growth and development can be achieved.